Very good evening, everyone. Myself, Viren Sharma, your faculty for Public Administration. Today, we will be discussing in an open way about public administration as an optional subject for the UPSC preparation. For the purpose of convenience, we will be holding this discussion precisely in a very organized way to incorporate every possible doubt regarding the choice of selection subject, and in general what are the criteria we follow to choose an optional subject, how much an optional can play a role in the prelims, mains, or even an interview, because in general optionals play a role at a stage of mains. Prelims generally talks about the GS paper 1, GS paper 2, whereas when we go for the mains exam, we find the relevance of optional subject. So on what basis and what are the criteria any candidate preparing for UPSC consider for choosing an optional subject? For that purpose, think about this simple dimension. It's not working. Just this, these are certain dimension I was preparing. That what are the parameters we generally follow in order to choose an optional subject. One of the most common parameter is considered as a syllabus. That are we willing to take an optional subject where the syllabus is lengthy or the syllabus is short or compact. So majority of us generally have in the mindset that the syllabus is supposed to be short, so that within a limited time span we can complete our syllabus, we can do many time revision of that subject, and we can also do answer writing practice multiple times before we appear for the UPSC. In this context, if you observe, there are many optionals which claim that their syllabus is short or compact. One of them is PubEd, for which we are discussing here. Apart from this, even the subjects like sociology, that's also carry a short subject. Then even anthropology also have a shorter subject. But the other subjects which are also popular like PSIR will fall in the category of lengthy. History optional will again fall in the category of lengthy, and geography will again be in the part of the lengthy. Otherwise, these subjects, socio, anthro, PubEd, will fall under our compact syllabus or the shorter as compared to those bigger one. Plus, even if we go with the science subjects, for that we require a basic background also with the science, and only then we can even master, but the syllabus is not short, syllabus will be lengthy. Mathematics, again a lengthy part, and we require a good dedication also in order to choose that mathematics as an optional. So by comparing in this way, we find that there are three subjects which can come under this compact syllabus or short syllabus. One, anthro, socio, and third one, PubEd. The second criteria, which again majority of the candidates may consider, will be scoring. Is the subject scoring or not? What is a good score in an optional subject we consider? All those who are even participating online, even you can also type in the chat box so that I can understand what is your expectation of marks from your optional subject which you desire to take. And those who are participating offline, even they can answer verbally, so that I can make a generalization and then will tell you about this subject, because it is said PubEd is not scoring. ऐसा myth है ये, that is a myth, that's not reality, and I'll tell and share this with the help of the data also. Okay, 300 plus, then we might have to go with the mathematics optional, that's a possibility, or maybe the physics optional, or these kind of subjects can score more in terms of 300 plus or 310. A very good average score if we find in the optional paper is somewhere between 270 to 280. That's a criteria. 270 to 280 can be a very good score in terms of optionals. And this year from PubEd, the rank 11, his score is 291. Whereas there are other candidates also at rank 184, the score is 280. Imagine the difference of marks, only 10, 291 and 281, 10 marks difference, but the rank is from 11 to 184. 280 plus is a very good score because rest of the marks you have to score in the GS. At least 100 marks each in each GS paper, and at least GS paper 2, GS paper 4 we can even target 125 plus because of the overlapping which can be used, which can be there within the PubEd syllabus. So it is not true that PubEd do not have a high scoring. PubEd will also come under this category of a high scoring, and there are 250, 240. 240 is also on a lower side, which we can call here as an average score. But if the score is just 240, 250 in the optional, then we cannot expect a very high rank. In fact, one of the candidate in just second attempt last year has got around 700 rank from the PubEd. Score was only 245. And this year there was a transformation with 35 plus marks and got 281, and the rank has reached from 700 to 184. So 30-40 marks difference in terms of transforming the rank from 700 to less than 200 is all possible because the score is in the category of a average to higher. I can't say that it's a low scoring because if I don't write the answer properly, then obviously nobody will give the marks. Means which optional can get a marks without writing an answer? As simple as that, no optional will get any marks without writing a good answer, and therefore it is important to write an structured answer. Either it is PubEd or any another optional subject, we always need it. 340 plus is also expected marks. It's too high. Out of 600, are you saying? Out of 600, 340 you are targeting, because optionals are just 500 marks only. So with 340 will be very high expectation, and at present there is no optional which is giving 340 plus. Not a single optional have this much of score, despite the fact the candidate may have written an excellent answer. So it is a little higher expectation. Keep it on an average basis somewhere between 280 plus, and that's a very good expectation if we can carry with 280 plus. That's why this is a second dimension here, which is all about the scoring. Then success rate. Which subject has the highest success rate? Because that's also in the mind that the success rate should be very high, and when we say success rate, please remember it is in terms of the percentage. That means if 100 students are writing a paper, how many of them are clearing this exam? Is it? That's called success rate. So in that context, presently highest number of selection are from PSIR, but its success rate is only 8.9%, and you do the round off, it will become only 9. Out of 100, only 9 candidates are clearing that paper. If you even go for the second highest option, that is like sociology. So sociology also have 8.4. Anthropology has just 8.1, and followed by even PubEd. PubEd has 8.6. PubEd do not have very high number of students. It is still in the top 6, but success rate is equivalent to all of these. So success rate of PSIR, success rate of PubEd, success rate of sociology, success rate of anthropology are very close to each other. 8 students to maximum 9 students only out of 100 are going to succeed, and that's why it is here. Average. High success rate, Manipuri literature, 50%. 2 candidates have written the exam, 1 cleared. So success rate became 50%. Economics, 16%. Accountancy, 13%. They are above 10, double digit success rate. That's why they are in the category of high. And if the success rate is less than 10, can we keep it here? Definitely it will be a mistake, and that's why they all under in this category. That means this tells us if more candidates appear from a particular subject, more number of selection come from that optional. Is it? More candidates appearing from a particular optional, so more number of successful candidates will come from that optional. So it has nothing to do that okay, this optional has a very high number of selection. The number of students appearing from an optional which is higher also have the highest number of failed students as well. If 1500 students are writing the paper and only 120 are clearing, so 120 is the highest number of selection, but how many failed also? That's a concern, and that's why what is important is that part, percentage, which is 8 to 9%, and 8 to 9% will always be under average category. Even history also have a score, and out of history, around just out of 100, as per the report data, only 4.4 candidates. That means 5 candidates only out of 100 are clearing with that optional. Problem is lengthy. Geography, 6.6%. Out of 100, only rounded off number, if I take 7 only are clearing, and reason is again lengthy. And that's why multiple factors we consider while choosing an optional subject rather than just a small way of a complex syllabus. Complex syllabus can be one of the factor, but it is not the only factor. Then overlapping with the GS. Any optional means I may be a graduate, let's say from a science field, and I may be happy to take my optional from the science only, let's say a medical graduate looking for MBBS and going with the medical science. Nothing wrong to go by the medical science in that case, but I must have an experience of the medical science. I might be a graduate from the commerce field and looking for commerce and accountancy. I will definitely go with commerce and accountancy because I believe I may just require answer writing practice. I have enough number of syllabus from my honors and I will go. But if I'm looking for an optional where I want benefits also within the GS, then in that case I will get confined to 4 to 5 main optionals. Reason? Overlapping with GS. And if I apply that way, then I will find one of the subject can be PSIR, another subject can be history, another subject can be geography, then a subject which we are discussing here, that is PubMed. These 4 major subjects, and even it can be claimed sociology or anthropology. Socio may have benefits within the social issues and social justice. Anthropology may also can help somewhere within the science and technology, but that is only at a stage of mains, because at mains only science and tech will play a role. Otherwise very limited role in the current affair with the prelims can be there. And if we go with the PubMed also have a benefit with the general studies. So PSIR, socio, geography, history, anthro and PubMed can have a benefit and overlapping with the general studies paper. That means we also fulfill this criteria. Is it? Think about, so far 4-5 subjects name we are using again and again, and how many are getting in a right tick mark. इसलिए tick जरूर करते चलना so that your criterias will get satisfied that which one is matching my expectations from the examinations point of view. So when I go within syllabus point as a PubMed candidate or as a PubMed aspirant, I have a benefit that the syllabus is compact. My expectation is also that I'm not looking for a lengthy syllabus, I'm looking for a shorter syllabus. Then second expectation any candidate should always carry is what? Whether the subject is scoring or not. And that's why I'm sharing this numbers also from the current year's rank as well as the previous year's rank, that 280 plus is achievable target within the PubMed, despite the fact that even rank 1 may not have 280 plus in his optional subject in the current year also. That's why it is here in the category of a good score. Good score here is 280 plus is a very good score, and that's why we can keep it here. 300 plus can be taken here because that's cross 60% of the marks. Success rate, It is comparable and equitable towards all the higher ranking subjects like PSIR have large number of selection, Socio have large number of selection, Enthro also have, so as the fourth number will be this PubEd, followed by even the history and geography subjects. Then overlapping also, it helps us for the overlapping within the general studies. Now maximum time application of an optional subject is generally in the mains time period, or do I need a subject which can also help me as well as in the prelims plus mains? And this is only possible because of the previous question. If a subject has overlapping with the GS, it will always help you at the stage of prelims as well as mains. But if overlapping with the GS is very limited, then it is only going to help you at a larger stage only at the time of mains. Think about, I'm saying here that PubEd has overlapping with the polity and governance. In fact, except fundamental rights and citizenship, these two parts we can keep aside. Rest of the entire polity and governance we can cover through PubEd. And how many questions are generally asked in the prelims from polity and governance? A range, 10 to 15 questions, that's a range. If the question paper is dominated by polity, the number of questions can go up to 20 also, not more than 20. 10 to 20, 20 can be maximum, otherwise average wise we generally have 10 to 15 questions. If we cover our optional subject in a good way, out of those 10 to 15, 8 to 12 questions we can answer on the basis of our PubEd knowledge. So it will help us and make our journey easy even in the stage of prelims. Plus, this is just polity governance. We do have certain units which have overlapping with the economics portions as well. Financial administration, that is budget, monetary policy, fiscal policy, and related to that also 1 or 2 questions are generally asked. One question usually on the budget, one question related to monetary policy is also there. So, and PSUs, disinvestment, privatization, these kind of topics are also part of the PubEd syllabus and they are related to GS economics. So if those 2 questions, 3 questions also we can answer, it will help us at the stage of the prelims. That's why majority of the time in our mind the optional play a role at a stage of mains, but some optional which have overlapping with the GS, they can always help you at a stage of prelims as well as mains. And the one which can help you in prelims as well as mains, think about history. Not PubEd, PubEd I'll use in the last only. I'm not selling my subject, I'm just clarifying the way. So first history, another one is geography, is it? Third is PSIR, and the fourth one is what we are talking about. The problem with the PSIR we were observing was lengthy. History, lengthy. We were here compact, and benefit also is with the prelims, is it? That's why the way you analyze, the way it become easy to understand and interpret the applications. Then when it comes to answer writing in the essay paper, so essay paper always require a structural approach. Essay require an introduction, essay require an explanation, essay require analysis, advantages, limitations of the issue, and problem solving approach. So futuristic solutions also we require, and the futuristic solutions can always be based upon some reports. It could be ARC, could be the Center State Relations Commission, and we can incorporate all these ideas from our syllabus here. In our paper we do have the benefits of the second ARC coverage, and those second ARC coverage we can always use in the way forward ideas for the essay writing. This can even be useful from the PSIR's point of view as well as from the PubEd's point of view. Many toppers, they suggest also that see for GS also you have to write way forward, and you may use the second ARC in the way forward ideas. So reports like ethics in governance will help us in the GS paper 4. We have a report on public order. public order helps in public order, law and order or security related topics. There's a report on crisis management. Crisis management helps in the disaster management topic. There's a report on union government. It will help you for the president, prime minister, council minister, union ministries and departments at that level. There's a special report on financial administration. It helps in the way of writing the taxation, GST, indirect taxes. Regarding them, we have the financial administration report. That means out of 15 report, 8+ reports we can cover within our class discussion and use their suggestion in our class notes. And something which is part of your class notes will always be at your disposal to revise more and to use in the form of answer writing or essay writing. That's why that benefit is claimed by multiple optionals. History also can claim that idea because they provide historical background to a situation. PSIR can also claim because our syllabus have lot of overlapping with each other. This can also be claimed by the sociology because they will provide a social dimensions towards that issue. Anthro can also claim that way, but we will bring all those dimensions at one place because we need to develop in ourselves administrative aptitude. If whatever subject we will study, that subject always help us to develop an approach towards the system or towards the society. When as a student I'm reading sociology, I'm looking towards the society from the social perspective. I may be studying a subject that is political science, so I'm developing a mindset how to rule or how to serve. If I'm reading political science, what mindset as an individual I will be looking for, how to rule the society or how to serve the society. You can also type from online 2 words, either R or either S, so short form, so that it will take less time to answer. R for rule and S for serve. Obviously mindset will come that how to rule the society, but what is the work of an administrator? So that approach is required. To rule a society, I might not even be looking for the participation. Whatever I feel is right is right. That's what the domination will come. But as an administrator, I have to take the society and have to execute the law, have to implement the law. And that's why we require to inculcate or develop administrative aptitude and administrative ethics. And this is part of our syllabus. We have, means this, I will answer this also in more detail under what is actually public administration, so that will help us to understand this part. And any role of material and guidance. Material and guidance always play a role. Classroom program provides foundation. And once we have a good foundation, we can always develop more qualitative answer writing with the supportive material. That's why the various institutions are offering the optional subjects and material. Do we need 10 to 15 books or just 4 or 5? That's also an important way to think, because if I need 10 to 15 books to cover my syllabus, then I will take more time for the revision also. But if I have a compact 4 to 5 maximum book, and those books I have incorporated in my class notes, and through my class notes I have made 1-page synopsis, so I might have just 100 topics. I might need just 100 days to revise. That's a possible way. But if my syllabus have already 250 topics and I have 10 to 15 books to prepare, and from 10 to 15 books I have prepared around 250 pages short notes, 250 pages short notes and 100 pages short notes, how much time will be taken in order to revise, to memorize? Is it? That's why it all depends upon these parameters in order to have a choice for selection of any optional subject. Whichever the subject we wanted to choose, we must always put a tick on these dimensions for our preparation. Is it? I hope I'm clear. Yes, please. We are free to raise our question and I'll clarify on these dimensions first so that I can move upon to the next dimension. Yes, please. Interest as a parameter, if I will use, then in that condition I might have an interest, let's say, with the literature subject, but the problem will come that do we have adequate support of material, adequate support of success rate, adequate support in this way, because any such subjects will come under this category. The syllabus has to be considered. So that by syllabus, by success rate, we are able to develop those ideas, because having interest and having a success rate will make a complete reduction of the interest to the low priority. That's the problem, and that's the reason why it has not been incorporated in this dimension for choosing. Otherwise, interest can always be a very good idea to incorporate, but the moment I will enter into the additional parameter, I will face a challenge as an aspirant to go with my interest or to go with more logical solutions, because interest can be my preference, willpower, which comes from within, and rest all are the factual parts which can be useful for analysis. So interest, if you wish, can also incorporate at your level of the analysis, because this is not the complete exhaustive list. It is just a broad parameter in order to consider for choice of an optional subject. That's the way. We have a question from the online. You are also free to even raise that question. I'll include that one. If I religiously follow the class lecture and do question practice, what least I can expect? That's what I'm telling you, that 280 plus can be a very good score to expect it out by the help of the class notes and preparation of one-page synopsis. We must prepare entire chapter with one-page short note, because we must understand concept, we must understand the principles names which are given by the scholars. We must have analysis, advantages, disadvantages side for that analysis point, and a solution or way forward. If we can incorporate these 5 major dimensions, we can always be scoring on a higher side. The question seemed quite confusing. This is why, that's the reason why these multiple dimensions are included to make this question. Yes, please.
Does our graduation matter for selecting optional? Say for example, if I have a bachelor's in political science.
Okay. If I have a bachelor's degree from political science, I must have studied PubEd as one of the paper in the second year most probably, and that is the 4th semester. PubEd, and they are always having an edge to choose this optional subject. Means if you are a graduate from political science honors, you must have studied PubEd as a part of your college degree, and that part will useful here when you opt for this optional subject, because there is lot of overlapping within the PubEd and the political science. That's why even I will discuss in the last PubEd versus PSIR, because our real competitor is only one subject, that is PSIR, because of the overlapping factor, because of this factor. Otherwise, in terms of its application, it is lengthy. We might not be in the lengthy category, and they also claim overlapping with DGS, and that is not a wrong claim, that is absolutely a correct claim, and we are also factually correct that we also have the overlapping with the not just one GS paper, but we do have overlapping with 3 GS papers, paper 2, 3 and 4. That's the thing, and that is why we can always use our optional knowledge while writing our GS answers. In fact, there are students who have no background from neither PSIR nor from PubEd, engineering background, chemical engineer, mechanical engineering, these kind of backgrounds are there, computer science also, and they have also opted PubEd, and in just second attempt are scoring the rank. That means we don't need 4 or 5 attempts to clear. We just need a time bound preparation, that I have 2 years and I just have to prepare for these 2 years and appear in the exam. And from that perspective, I will be more serious about my subject. I come from engineering background, so how feasible it? I think I already included your question within my discussion here itself, that PubEd does not require subject matter specialization. That is the best part of this. Means suppose I am saying in this way, I might be a medical student and opting for medical science as a subject. If 100 people are writing that paper all 100 have medical science background? That's the thing. I might be choosing PSIR optional. I may have my PSIR graduation degree or not. But if 100 people are writing this paper, PSIR, out of 100, minimum 50 are those who are studying PSIR in their graduation. 50 might be from engineering background, mathematics background or commerce background, but opting for the PSIR. Those 50 people who already have studied in the graduation will have an edge. If 100 people are going to take PubEd, 99 does not know what is PubEd because it is not a part of the graduation degrees. We don't have the bachelors in public administration in the bigger universities or central universities. Very limited number of universities are running this kind of program. And it is taught as a part of the political science only, because political science is the mother discipline of PubEd. And this is the reason why they both have overlapping with each other in terms of the syllabus. In fact, PubEd and PSIR both teaches Indian administration. Can you ask us to through relevant pages of the second ARC? We will definitely incorporate that within the discussions itself, and that's why second ARC have 15 reports. Today's discussion will be too less to include all the 15 reports within the discussion, and it takes, means we incorporate second ARC topic wise. Suppose we are studying a unit of union government. We will include second ARC recommendation regarding union government within the class discussion. Suppose we are reading about state government, so we will incorporate the state government report of the second ARC, so that what they have said about governor, what they have said about chief minister, what they have said about strength of the council of minister at the state level can be between 10% to 12% to maximum 15% of the strength. That kind of suggestion they have given, that what can be maximum strength of the council of minister at a state level is a suggestion for reforms given by the second ARC. So the moment you study state government, state council of minister, you can always incorporate those recommendations at the right place. That is the relevance, and that is called problem solving. We have some states with 50 plus departments. 50 मंत्रालय हैं उनके पास. स्टेट का नंबर ऑफ सब्जेक्ट्स इन द स्टेट लिस्ट आर ओनली 59 एट प्रेजेंट, एंड यूनियन गवर्नमेंट हैव 98 सब्जेक्ट बट द नंबर ऑफ मिनिस्ट्रीज आर ओनली 50. Think about it. Union government have 50 ministries including the independent departments, and state government have just 59 subjects, and some state have 54 departments, some have 34 departments, some have 40 departments. Mean department differ from state to state, because if it's a coastal territory they may require another separate department for the fisheries, but if it's a hill state they may not require the fisheries department for that purpose, or the coastal protection, or that way. So this can depend upon state to state, but 50 plus department at union and 50 plus department at a state level. So regarding that we require minimum government, maximum governance. These kind of ideas are there for good governance, and second ARC have made recommendation regarding them also. That's why it become more logical to use suggestion along with the conceptual understanding, and that is why it is more useful from not just this point of view. Means that kind of discussion will even become helpful from the interviews point of view. Interview, because at the interview they expect your opinion and your answer not as a sociology student or history student. They need your answer as an administrative official. We all are aspiring for civil services, and the moment we clear civil services we all become public administrator. That is the best part of this. We all become public administrator, and we don't know public administration. That is the irony. Therefore, when I study this subject at the time of my preparation, I will develop a thought process. What is my duty, what is responsibility to work as an administrator, and I will gradually develop this philosophy of administrative aptitude and administrative ethics. And how that is possible? This is possible because of this reason. This is an overview of the PubMed syllabus. Overview in the sense that majority of the divisions in the PubMed syllabus are here. Why is PubMed not so popular? It is suffering from bad publicity these days. It is one of the popular subject, but right now suffering from the bad publicity, and this bad publicity is obviously created by the competitive subjects only. That's the only reason. Otherwise, if I am claiming as an individual that PSIR is having a benefit, then you tell me one single benefit which you do not have by studying this PubMed as compared to PSIR. That's the thing, and this is why comparative idea are always useful to make these logical answers. Fine. Now, in this context, that first here is administrative thinkers. This administrative thinkers will help us to develop the managerial approach which is required for problem solving. We as a public administrator are responsible for policy implementation in the initial stages. Means initial posting for the IAS officers are given in the district. District are called line agencies to implement policy, to enforce the law. So what are their roles, what are their responsibility? They have to get the things done. And when they have to get the things done, they need administrative approach rather than working on the field itself. And what are public policy? Government policies are public policies, and that understanding is also part of this issue. It's a separate unit we have, and this kind of unit, public policies, helps us to develop understanding for current affairs as well. Means imagine if there's a scheme called PM Mudra Yojana or PM Asha. So one is regarding the financial assistance, another is regarding the income assurance, or means it's called Annadata Aay Sanrakshan Yojana. So it's like a price guarantee scheme for the farmer community. And these two small example will be part of the understanding under a topic called public policy. So which ministry is responsible for the scheme? Is it? Who is responsible for implementation? Whether the government of India will implement through its ministry or it is a centrally sponsored scheme. That logic, centrally sponsored scheme, central sector scheme, state government scheme, we develop our understanding via these mechanisms. Public policies and civil services, civil service ethics, civil service aptitude, civil service values, which is very relevant for the GS paper 4. We have here that unit in paper 1. Civil services, also called as personnel administration. Personnel administration, that is in paper 1, and that helps us to develop this philosophy from the PubMed syllabus point of view. In fact, last year there was a question on administrative tribunals in the GS paper as well. Tribunals are called quasi-judicial body, administrative law, these kind of topics are here. Again in paper 1. This is paper 1's portion and these are paper 2 portion, PubMed paper 2. And financial administration as was using, fiscal policy, monetary policy, role of CAG. CAG is very specifically mentioned within the PubMed syllabus, and these days the way question is getting asked in the GS paper 2 in the mains, it's no more a traditional polity and governance question. Last year mains there was a question asked on the CAG, that see how performance audit is different from the regularity audit. So technically CAG performed 3 types of audit: regularity audit, compliance audit and performance audit. And types of audit as a concept we need to understand so that we can use this knowledge and can easily effectively write with example that kind of answers within the GS paper. And that's why that knowledge we develop from here, financial administration. That's why this is paper 1's logic. Plus in paper 1 we have also this unit, accountability and control. Think about some GS topics in the GS paper 4, Citizen Charter, Right to Information Act, RTI Act, good governance, judicial control over administration, that is in polity also. And these 3 topics which I have used, RTI, Citizen Charter, e-governance and good governance, we will find them here. Accountability and control. So this paper helps us to develop administrative aptitude. And ideas for Indian governance, Indian administration is developed via paper 2. This is paper 2 syllabus. Paper 2 evolution here is basically Kautilya's Arthashastra, Mughal administration and British administration. So what were the administrative side at that point of time? Those are covered in a structured way, in a brief organized manner under this portion. And constitutional values and philosophies. So preamble, DPSP, fundamental rights understanding, that values concept we develop under this part. Then think about these polities portions: union government, president, prime minister, secretariat, directorate, judiciary, those ministries and departments, they all will be part under union government. Same way, state government, part 6, part 5, local self-government, part 9, part 9A from the polity governance point of view. That's why I was able to say that we have also the same overlapping what is even claimed by the PSIR. In fact, our thinkers are more useful from the administrative point of view as compared to the PSIR's thinker. And then think this version: public sector undertakings and plans and priorities. This is for Planning Commission, Niti Aayog, presently, earlier NDC, now Governing Council of Niti Aayog. Those portions are part of this, and it will help us in the GS paper 3. GS paper 3 at present is a disaster for so many optional subject students. It's giving in just double-digit marks, in fact less than 90. Many candidates are only scoring between 70 to 80, 70 to 90 in the GS paper 3. So if anything which can help you in GS paper 3, you should not take that thing lightly. That's a concern, and it can't be claimed by the PSIR that they help in the GS paper 3. We can claim. How? Because of these units: plans and priorities, PSUs, and this part. This will help us to develop as an edge within the GS paper 3. This was GS paper 4, civil service values, accountability control was also helping in the GS paper 4, and these portions in the GS paper 2. That's the reason why we are able to say that we have overlapping with the GS portions more as compared to the PSIR. PSIR obviously help you in the IR also, but IR in the GS and IR in the optional are two different strategies. IR in optional require more analysis, and IR in the GS part require more factual information, which can be just 10 to 15 countries in order to cover from the mains perspective, because just 3 to maximum 4 questions will be there. That can be easily prepared in a limited span of time. Is it more current affairs or less static? It's a combination of both. Our portion, our syllabus is also a combination of both. If we are saying here public policies, so whenever the government makes new policy, we have to cover it, and that becomes a part of your updation or dynamic part. Similarly, if the policies or the finance budget is prepared every year, so data will be updated accordingly. Then even this part, plans and priorities, right now we have made for the long-term planning. We have vision document for 15 years to 20 years. In fact, in Viksit Bharat mission up to 2047, is it Amrit Kal mein hai hum log? We are in the Amrit Kal at present and transforming from the developing towards the developed society. So this 25 years time span is a long-term plan. So things will be made in a broad way, and then annual basis plans will be prepared in accordance with the mission Viksit Bharat. That's why long-term static part, and every year updation of the policies can become a dynamic part. So it is useful to even cover current affair from such perspective. Then I hope we can simplify now this, that why we were able to use earlier that logic that PubMed is having a maximum number of overlapping with the GS, and why it will help us to develop administrative aptitude and ethics, because of the syllabus which we have in paper 1 and a combination of paper 2. Is it theoretical or conceptual, or need an empirical approach while dealing with? See, whichever subject you will study, whichever subject, you always need to develop theoretical concept first. that is common in any subject. Either it is geography do have the thinkers who will tell us about various concepts about environment, about mountain formation, climate system. Every means optional subject have thinkers, and their paper 2 are always about applications. Every optional subject, paper 2 is always about applications, and that's what we were observing in India's aspect or puppet as well. Paper 1 was having theoretical base and paper 2 was having the application base. That means if you develop administrative logic here in this part, how it will be useful to work within the district level, within the state level, and within the union government level. That's why application. Paper 1 is about, the heading of paper 1 given by the UPSC syllabus is Public Administration Theories and Concepts. That is paper 1. And paper 2 is called Indian Administration. So whatever theories and concepts you have developed in a logical way for all, how will you apply that one within the paper 2 or Indian Administration? And that's why interlinking between the two is quite possible. Now, let's also discuss on this one more question, which is most common. What is puppet? See, here this public refers to government. So public administration is government administration, means a civil servant is a part of government administration. So when I have to work as an administrator, I should know what are my duties, responsibilities. I should also know how I have to perform these duties and responsibilities. I should also have a skills to get my work done with my team members or subordinates. These are the logics we need to develop, and this is what is called administrative aptitude. This is what is also referred as administrative ethics. Getting things done rather than doing the things on your own. So in a way, you can always conclude public administration is government administration. And earlier, there was no such subject since till 1989. It has been introduced in the UPSC exam from 1989 only, because traditionally public administration was asked as a part of PSIR only, and that's why it is said public administration has emerged from the PSIR. In fact, in terms of scholars language, if I use, political science is called mother discipline of public administration. Mother discipline of public administration is political science. It has emerged out of political science only. And who did this thing? Is an American scholar, Woodrow Wilson. He was a political science scholar. Woodrow Wilson, also known as father of public administration, he was the one who advocated we need to develop a separate subject of studies to work in the government. And 1989 in India, it is introduced as a subject in the civil service exam. He has done this in 1880. 1887 was the year when he has published an essay, roughly we call 1880s. So 1887 he published an essay and advocated for the separate study. 100 years later, हमारे यहाँ चीज़ें देर से आती है ना, 100 years later in India, in civil service exam, the puppet has been introduced also as a subject for competitive examination, so that you develop the mindset of administrator, not a political science. That was the main logic, and since its introduction, it has been one of the most favorable subject. Last few years, in fact, to be specific, 10 years. Only out of these 10 years, only 1 year the paper, some questions have been made a little dynamic, 3 to 4 questions, and it suffered from the bad publicity. Think about how things changes. 1 year, paper has been made slightly dynamic and the marking was made very hard. So it's like a double sword or double-edged sword. एक तो पेपर डिफिकल्ट बना रहे हैं, दूसरा मार्क्स भी नहीं दिया. And because of this, the myth has been created that it is low scoring. It is low scoring, it is too dynamic, and the benefit has gone from the child to the इसीलिए बोलते हैं जब चोट लगती है तो मम्मी याद आती है. So advantage has gone back to the PSIR, but now again it is re-emerging and becoming more stable, and that is even visible from the recent ranks as well. Last year was 12th rank from Puppet, this year 11th rank also from the Puppet, and many more also, but because mostly what happened, we only see the first 10 or first 4, तो नीचे 10 के आगे 1 एक और लगा हुआ है, 11 हो रहा है, and we are not at all even watching that one, that okay, this is also a rank from that subject, because usually top 2, top 3, top 5, that is what the maximum individual will be looking for. But इस बार तो rank 1 medical science से है, तो can we take medical science? That's how many large number of people decide on that basis also कि rank 1 का कौन सा subject है. So if rank 1 is from here, more people will go on that side. Rank 1 is from Anthro, more people will go on Anthro side. Rank 1 is from Puppet, that year was COVID, so it did not got that much of popularity. Otherwise 2020 was the year, the first year of COVID, and that time the UPSC results came, the rank 1 was also from Puppet, and it got technically ignored from everywhere. Publicity भी नहीं हो पाया, and it is not that way, has recovered from that system. That's why either rank 1 come, either rank 11 come, they both are going to get All India Services, which is Indian Administrative Service. Now think from this logic, there are 90 IAS officer seats, 90. These 90 seats will be further divided into categories. 90 IAS are needed. So if in the top 90 there are 40 candidates from the general, 50 candidates from the reserved, so these 90 seats will go towards these. But imagine out of 90, 70 candidates may be from the unreserved and only 20 are from the reserved. These 70 will not get IAS, because the number of seats for the general out of 90 which were unreserved seats was roughly around 40-42, because EWS also now unreserved EWS, so they also will be adjusted, and therefore only out of these 70 only 40-42 will only get the IAS. They have to go for their second preferences. It is possible a candidate might be from the reserve community and he might have a rank at 190. He can still get the IAS because the reserve seat are not yet filled for the IAS. That's why that's a reality of competition. And we need to analyze these in order to get our strategy for this system. That's why I might require a thinking that I get an average good score in my optional, will prepare for the GS also in an average way so that 100 plus can be target for each GS subject, and if I'm a Puppet student, I can target for GS paper 2 and GS paper 4 125 plus marks because of the overlapping. That's the thing, and it's a achievable target. If I have no overlapping with any of the GS part, I might be from medical science and I'm scoring 100, 105, it's a good score there. But if I'm having an optional from any of these two category and I'm not getting a good score in the GS paper 2, not getting a good score in the GS paper 4, I might be doing some compromise with my preparation. That's the reason why these two optional have that much of overlapping, and this small discussion is exclusively with the PSIR versus Puppet, because think about these points. Syllabus point. Syllabus will be lengthy or compact. That's why this is the logic here. Then thinkers, they also have thinkers, we also have, but the thinkers in the political science are more politically based. They are the Greek thinkers, German thinker, there will be Italian thinker, British thinker. We do have management thinkers, and the political science thinkers generally talk about philosophical side. Here it is all managerial in nature. That's why management based thinkers are within the syllabus. Then what is the mindset we develop? The mindset political science help us to develop is ruling attitude, whereas what we require is a serving attitude. How to rule is the philosophy you develop from political science. इसीलिए नाम भी है ना, राजनीतिक विज्ञान. So how to do the politics or political system, that's a logic there. and administration is to serve the government, to serve the public. And this is why in the government also you have political executive and you have bureaucracy. So if everybody will do the politics, then who will implement the law? And then we blame that, see, in India there is a poor enforcement of law. Who is not implementing the law? Administrator. Why? Because they are coming under the strong influence of political system. And that's why if you have to really transform the system from developing society to developed society, you need a good enforcement of law. If the law are not implemented properly, then we will always remain developing. फिर विकसित भारत नहीं रह पाएगा, विकासशील भारत ही रहेगा. Vikasshil means developing and Viksit is developed. That kind of thinking we might have to bring in our thought processes. Success rate is a very common criteria. This is 8.6 as was 8.9 and this is 8.6. Round off I was using earlier also, that 9 out of 100 only clears this exam by either of these optional subjects. And duration, that's a bigger problem because the syllabus is lengthy. It takes more time to cover. 9 to 10 months are taken care by the teachers who are teaching this political science and IR as an optional. We cover it in just 5.5 months. That means we can do around 2 revisions average. एक बार ठीक से पढ़ लिया तो next time will take less time to revise. That's the very most common criteria. And if you revise your syllabus twice as compared to this time period, imagine 2:1 ratio. So the more you revise, the more confident you will be with your subject, and that is the reason why the success rate is comparable with this way. So if more candidates take this optional, there will be more number of selections. Less number of candidates will take this optional, so less number of selections will be also there, and that's why this is most common criteria. But same logic, out of 100, 9 only are going to clear. Then overlapping with essay on the GS paper 2 and 4, we also have overlapping with the 2, 3 and GS paper 4. We also have overlapping with the essay, and reference book is a issue because when you have so many thinker to cover, the number of reference book will also be on a higher side, and that's why we have this benefit, just 4 to 5. And weightage, every optional have a same weightage, but because of overlapping, the weightage will become advantage. They claim that their weightage is between 750 to 800. We can have a bigger claim for that. Ours is like, that number got merged within the color scheme only. It is written here 900. 500 marks from the optional and roughly 400 marks overlapping with the 1000 marks of GS. Why? How this is possible? In polity governance, 10 to 12 questions are from the polity governance portion out of total 20 questions, and 10 questions we can answer on the basis of the pub-ed knowledge, minimum 10 questions. That's why half, 125 to 150 is the weightage with the GS paper 2. In GS paper 3, as we were discussing, security, disaster management, and at least 2 or 3 questions in the economics portion. 60 to 80 marks can be the weightage in the GS paper 3. 60 to 80, not a bigger claim, but it is a very appropriately observable analysis. And when it comes to GS paper 4, in GS paper 4, 2 to 3 questions are in theory and 6 questions of the case study. How you solve the case study? What is the approach required for the case study? Political approach, social approach, economic approach, or an administrative approach? An administrative approach. And that's why the candidates from this optional, they do well in the GS paper 4. In fact, when the rank 1 came from pub-ed, his score was 157 out of 250. 157 marks out of 250, highest ever score in the GS paper 4. His interview marks were only 158 and still he got rank 1. Think about it. That's where the differences are. At 157 in the GS paper 4 and only 158 in the interview. In fact, current year, the candidate who have got 160 marks, 175 marks in the interview, even they are not in the final selection list. That's a concern because they got around 30-40 marks less in the interview, but his score just 158. Even the rank 2 that time was having 209 marks out of 275 interview, and his score is only 158. Still he is having the rank 1. So when you score adequate number of marks in the mains, you're not bothered about the interview score as well. And that's why this is the reason that up to 900 marks out of 1750 is the weightage. But how much marks you can score, it all depends upon how you present your answer. Concept, analysis, relevant examples. Use relevant example. That is why it is important. The relevant example will always help us to convince the examiner about our knowledge and application side. And that's why that will be good enough in order to write. These all will help us to make a very analytical comparison between the PubEd and PSIR. I hope that can simplify this. With sociology, cannot compare this way because sociology always also have a complex syllabus. But sociology also have the thinkers, but they are from the society's point of view rather than from the administrative point of view. Sociology also help us to look towards the society, not to rule the society, but sociology can also help us to develop that approach. Success rate of sociology is also similar, 8 to 9%. Here also we stand. Sociology also cover within this time period only between 5 to 6 months. Overlapping of the sociology with the GS is limited, social issues, social justice, and that can also help us in your essay paper. That's why we have all the possible relevant comparative analysis you can use for any optional. That's why one is most popular. Sociology is also very popular one. Sociology have a benefit of us like compact but may not be having all the remaining, and that's why we may stand in a better condition if we go with this optional subject for our UPSC's preparation. One information also I have carried, that is from the report of UPSC, so that whatever I am telling is based upon data. Is it? When you tell the data, you can persuade the individual with facts. If you do not have data, you can only persuade the people emotionally. Administrator has to convince the people through data, through facts, so that society will accept your ideas. Politicians, they influence us emotionally. Is it? That's the problem. That's a basic difference between a politician and an administrator. That you bring facts, society will accept. You do not bring facts, society will always be in the state of confusion and trustworthiness will be evaluated. And in that context, the data which I was referring, see, I was using a number 50%. 50% is a success rate and the languages. Why? Because 2 people have appeared in the exam, one has cleared the exam, success rate was 50% and that is highest. Highest. What is the success rate visible for us in terms of this most popular subject, which will be here? PSIR. Number of candidates appeared 1500 plus. Candidates cleared 140. So we see 140. We do not see how many appeared. And because of this, what happened? We do not even know that, okay, this success rate is only 8.9. Out of 100, how many are getting selected? Only 9. That's a concern. And just observe PubEd. PubEd have how many number of candidates appeared? Only 361. How many have cleared? 31. And success rate is 8.6. So out of 100 here also round of number same again stands 9. 9 out of 100 only are clearing. And this is why if suppose here also you may have 1000 candidates appearing, so selection will become also 90. But if less number of candidates have appeared, that's why the less number of total number of selection have been visible in the UPSC's annual report, and this is 73rd. The recent one which is available in the public domain is the 73rd report of the UPSC. And see this also, that is optional. Sociology, 1087 candidates appeared. How many have cleared? 92. And what is the success rate? 8.5, less than pubmed, but round off will again say 9 out of 100. 9 candidates will be there who have cleared from this side. Imagine Anthro. Anthro is also a popular subject. Number of candidates 1159. How many got selected? 90. And what is the success rate? 7.8. Round off again it is 8. Round off again it is 8. This is why the data speaks itself. We can make any number of claims verbally, but when we have the data and the facts with us, it helps us to make a realization of the records that okay, this is percentage or success rate. That is number of candidates who have cleared, and this is number of candidates who have appeared in the mains in UPSC examination by that optional subject. That's why success rate is always in terms of the percentage. Yes, agriculture is also here. Agriculture, 115 candidates appeared, 12 have been successful, and success rate is 10.4%. But you need some understanding of the agricultural background. It is also said that anybody can take an agriculture. That is also true. But if you do not have interest in the agriculture, then it will become also nightmare. That's the only problem. वहाँ पर interest काम आएगा. Interest can become a ground to develop that knowledge and awareness on that scenario. Geography success rate, yes, I do have that list. It's not by me, it's just by the UPSC. I'm the just medium to tell. Geography is here, yes, 10th number, 1079 candidates appeared from the geography. Number of candidates selected were only 66, and the success rate is only 6.1. which I was earlier telling you, out of 100 only 6 have cleared from that optional subject. One more subject which I was earlier using, commerce and accountancy. So if you have the BCom honors and you are willing to go with the commerce, in that condition this could be a good option, that out of 140, 21 candidates have cleared and success rate is 15%. 15% is on a higher side in terms of the success rate, but that needs the understanding of the commerce and accountancy in a good way. My graduation subject is agri, but I want to go with optional. You can easily go with your agriculture also if you are confident about it, the way you have done your graduation. But if you only you know how you have done your graduation, is it? And if you know that you have done your graduation by 5-day studies or 7-day studies, then it will not give any edge while choosing that optional subject. In that case, the discussion what we have made today can be useful for your analysis. In fact, after the discussion, it will be uploaded also on the YouTube. So in case if you have missed some of those questions and the doubts, you can easily go through this video again and can simply analyze all the factors and the parameters we have incorporated in the today's discussion. That's a simple logic. And even technical subjects which I was using earlier, imagine economics also, 13.2% success rate, so it's in the double digit. Even mathematics, 9.7, that's it. And management, even 16% is the selection rate. Management is completely theoretical, but may not help you in the general studies and will only be useful from the ethics point of view, only in that part. That's why whatever subject we wanted to choose, we can always have a decision based upon the multiple factors, and those multiple factors, just going back to the same summarized page, will be these factors, either syllabus side or success rate side, otherwise whether it is scoring or less scoring, whether we have a benefit with the GS or not, or it will help me for the essay writing or the material guidance available or not. On these basis, we are able to decide, and if we opt for this optional subject, we can develop the thought processes of policy making, policy execution, even before entering into the civil services. That's why the discussion was given this thought process and the theme today. Your path towards a policy maker. Being a civil servant, initially we are policy executor, and after promotion we reach to the stage of the policy making, and that's why from secretariat we generally make these policies. I'm just taking the queries now, so I hope I'm clear with all these dimensions. That we have any doubt regarding these dimensions, we are just free to raise that point, and we can even type also. I'm just taking now the questions incorporating which are available in the chat box. Sure. My graduation subject is economics, so I go with which subject? You have a choice. Economics also do have that 13% success rate. Only concern is the economic syllabus is slightly technical in nature. So if you are doing your graduation in a good way and developing your thought processes in a proper manner, you can go with the economics optional. If you feel that I need an optional subject which can help me in the general studies and help me to develop administrative thought processes, in that case you may consider the pub-ed optional for this purpose. See, this is as easy as possible. We will get the yes. Now when we talk about this part, material, so we in our syllabus have developed 4 booklets for the reference purposes, and we will give more weightage to our class notes. Our class notes are well structured. Some of us may have met in the GS classes. We have I also teach the polity governance portion from the judiciary's part, and if you see the way we have written the notes for the judiciary, we have well structured notes, and we can write any answer on the judiciary as per the recent examination trend, and that is the purpose of the guidance, that the way we should write our notes, we can develop answer writing skill, and we can use our class notes as a one-stop solution for this preparation. And we incorporate always the relevant and recent examples of the recent cases. Finally, Justice Verma has submitted the resignation. When I started that topic, that time he was not at all even resigning, and investigations were there. But after almost 1.5 years, he finally have submitted his resignation after multiple questioning, and he will be eligible for all the remaining benefits of pension and other, but only thing is he has not been removed. The resignation will be accepted obviously, and he will no more be working for that system. So it is this way, the current application with the concepts can always help us, and we do this entire syllabus of pub-ed in the similar manner. We have in pub-ed total 26 units. 14 units are in paper 2 and 12 units are in paper 1. I will be completing out of them 23 units. 3 units छोड़ेंगे नहीं. Amit sir will be taking that part, my fellow member in the team. So 23 units will be with me, and 3 units will be taken care by the Amit sir. He will be taking generally the unit 1 from paper 1 and civil services and personal administration. Rest all union government, local cell government, administrative thinkers, all 23 units I'll be taking, so that we will have a broader understanding and a detailed structured notes for our preparation. And when we have good notes with us, it makes our journey easy. Relevant example, in fact in the pub-ed also we will be doing articles of the Constitution. Out of those 395 sequence of the articles, which are presently more than 450, most relevant 150 to 200 articles will be part of our pub-ed notes as well. That's why we will be able to use our pub-ed copy directly for the polity and governance preparation, and that's the benefit we can use from this optional studies. I have been doing my graduation in philosophy. Can I opt for it? Philosophy can be always chosen, and philosophy will again help you for that same way. Philosophy will have same benefit of comparison what we were doing here with the PSIR की जगह philosophy कर लेना, इसको solve हो जाएगा problem, that how many parameters you require for this purpose, because whether the material is available with the philosophy or not, same logic. Only one duration. This duration will be less. Philosophy may not require this much of 9 to 10 months. 5 to 6 months time period will be more than enough, but again the support is comparatively restricted. That's the only concern. How many? Yes, please.
And there are two batches for the optional in Vajiram, one in April and another is in September, right?
In Vajiram, we have total 3 batches for the optional per bed.
what
One will start from this 20th of April. After this will be one in the month of June. Yes, June.
What is the preferred time for us to join?
When we are going to appear for exam,
27.
27, we can start from April, because if our target is 2027 and we start from April, our syllabus will get over by September.
Sir, in my opinion, if we start delay, then we will just revise our GS portion also.
If we start delay or if we start late, we will have one challenge. We will be overburdened and will not be writing the answers. When we start early, we have less workload and we have adequate time to cover the syllabus. That means, suppose I start my batch as a student in April and I complete my syllabus by September. Let's say 30th September, syllabus may get over. I have October, November and December to again use those 3 months to prepare my small synopsis, some more of answer preparation, and I can use it for revision of my GS portions. But if I start in the month of October, my syllabus will get over by March. The moment we enter into January, our mindset starts shifting to the prelims. Okay, no, I have to now focus upon the prelims and I'm not willing to go for the optional preparation. And in that case, what will happen? Our investment of money, time, resources all start getting adversely affected. That's the only concern. The early we start, the beneficial it is for us. So there are students who will be joining in the month of June also. There will be students who will be joining in the month of October also. But I have seen in October batch, 90% of the candidates are the one who are preparing for 2028, means they are planning 1.5 years in advance. That's a concern. Why? Because when my optional is done, I will be more confident about even my GS portions. I'm a working professional. Yes, if you are a working professional, you will develop a good understanding about your working as well from the pub optional. Because even the candidate which I was telling you this year, rank 182, that candidate was also has worked for 1.5 years, gave first attempt in just not a well prepared manner, and after just to check that as a working professional can I clear or not, failed in the prelims, and thereafter decided that I am willing to prepare my 100% dedication, and within just second attempt the candidate has secured 732 rank, and then gone for third attempt for rank improvement, and this year got 184, and the desire was to get into All India service and will get All India, either IAS, either IPS. If I have a benefit of reservation, I will even get the IAS in that category. Otherwise, I may be unreserved, so might even get for the Indian Police Service, and that's also All India service. That's the logic. Means if we go and prepare early, we will cover our syllabus early only, and it will always help us to give more revision. The more you revise, the more confident you will be about your preparation. That's the logic. I am from BTech background and having trouble to choose between Anthro and Puppet. Anthro has no overlapping with your BTech syllabus, but in your BTech you must have studied scientific management theory by Taylor, division of work, and this was also that is called training and equal responsibility of management as well as the worker. That kind of philosophies are here in our administrative thinkers, and we will get the benefit of this logic here. And PubEd does not require any educational background from the administrative studies to prepare for this. In fact, it is all about developing a mindset for future. It's a very generalized subject. It is not highly technical in nature. It is very general, and one reading, two reading of the syllabus will make you more confident also about your optional. And for working professionals, it's always good. We do have recorded lectures available, means you join for the hybrid. timing usually for this batch will remain 11 to 1:30. The June batch timing will become around 7:30 morning. That's a concern. So many times we have timing challenges as a student. Some people do not prefer 7:30 batch. So 7:30 batch will be only in the month of June batch. Present timing will be 11 to 1:30, and it is a decent enough time to cover by the October. In fact, last year I was having winter and that also morning timing 7:30, because PubEd institution allocate for the PubEd morning hours or the 11 o'clock hours. So out of them only right now we have the benefit of the this time period. Please clarify between Socio and PubEd. I already did. Socio is a wonderful optional subject. I am not going to say anything negative about the sociology because there is no such negativity. Only concern is the overlapping with the GS is less in Socio as compared to PubEd. That's the only thing. Otherwise, Socio also have around 26-27 units as a syllabus. PubEd also have just 26 units as a syllabus. Both are compact, both can be done in a time-bound manner. Even the Mahapatra sir, he covered the Socio in a good detailed manner. You have a good guidance and just adequate number of material. The only thing which you have to consider is from your side, that do you need overlapping with the GS or less overlapping with the GS, because it can't be said that Socio get more marks than PubEd, because I told you the mark sheet of the current year also 291. 291 is a wonderful score, and if you get 291 in an optional and you just get 400 430 in your GS overall, you can always score a very higher rank. That's the thing. So we can always target for 280 plus. Is PubEd more practical than Socio? Yes, absolutely it is more practical than Socio, because the way you will cover in our classes district administration, we do not follow the traditional means examples of 1960s, 70s and 80s while understanding Indian administration. We follow a combination of old time period, present time period, so that we can have comparative analysis. What was in the past, what is in the present. And when you have present examples, it will always become dynamic, more practical. Even if I replace the word practical by an alternative term, pragmatic, it will become technical part of PubEd. Pragmatic or practical. So pragmatic is what you use an administrative vocabulary, and practical is what we use as a general layman's language, and this way we can develop our vocabulary while studying this optional subject. That's the way. Yes, please.
So what are the reference books required for this option?
The reference book will be very limited for this part. If you are joining the classroom program, we may not even require the additional reference books also. We may go with our pink booklets. 4 pink booklets are offered for us along with the class notes. In fact, we may not require additional book in that way. And if we want to refer the book, then we may find Administrative Thinkers Prasad and Prasad, that is for paper 1. Then we have also Indian Administration by Sharma and Sadana, Rajini Goyal and Arora, that's also Indian Administration, and Mohit Bhattacharya, that is New Horizons of Public Administration. Total 4 will be the requirement, and 5th one can be Didi Basu. That is for paper 2. 2 books I am telling for paper 1. One is Prasad and Prasad, another is Mohit Bhattacharya. These 2, and for paper 2 we are having total 3. One is Sharma and Sadana, another is Goyal and Arora. Out of these 2, anyone will be suitable because they have lot of overlapping. And one is Didi Basu. Didi Basu will be useful for constitutional part. And second ARC we will refer along with them. So these will be more than enough number of books to cover the PubEd syllabus in a good, decent enough manner. But most important, we should make the small 1-page synopsis. If we are able to develop that philosophy, it will take less time to register a success in this competitive field. My age is 31, any problem is there? Age will depend upon the category or the class of citizen we belong to. That's a concern. If I might be from unreserved, then I have just 1 year to appear at an age of 31. If I have a benefit of OBC, I have a relaxation of 3 years. If I have a benefit of scheduled caste or scheduled tribe, I have a benefit of 5-year age relaxation. That's the thing. So carry this means time and the class of citizen to which you belong as a consideration for this area. Isn't it? That will help you, and learning whichever age we wanted to learn, it's all up to us. If you have a dream to clear civil services at an age of 31, then age is not a problem. Only thing is time, at how many attempts you can give and in how many time period you can prepare. Please check my question once. Can you please repost your question? It has gone somewhere in the list. You please just repost your question. I am including your question only. Please just repost it. Rashri, I am asking to you only to please repost your question. I don't know how to make a one-page synopsis. We will make it in the if you are joining the classroom program with Vajiram, we will definitely make it within the class. After explanation only, a one-page synopsis will come. The book may have 10 to 15 pages for one chapter. Those 10 to 15 pages we will cover in a structured way within the class notes in approximately 5 to 6 pages. From those 5 to 6 pages, you are going to make a one-page synopsis, and that's how we will be doing it. Does choosing optional subject have a major effect on our post selection and allotment? No, that's a myth. There is no role of an optional subject in the posting. Posting is all dependent upon the rank you have, and rank here does not mean rank 1 or rank 10. Rank here means IAS. Is it? That's called cadre of service. So by the cadre of service only will be applicable that there are positions which are restricted only for IAS officer. So only an IAS rank will be appointed at that particular position. Whether daily classes for optional or not, yes, optional will have 6 days classes in a week. We'll have 6 days classes in a week, and after a gap of, let's say, if we have total 5.5 months duration for the syllabus, one test, 1 month. That's what we follow. One test, 1 month, but at least 2 to maximum 3 questions as an assignment on weekly basis, so that we will not leave each other during the syllabus. Otherwise, what happens? We are attending the class but not writing the answers, and when we are not writing the answers, then that knowledge is of no use, because in that case what happens? You know the concept but you have a hesitation to write an answer. So we will follow, we have this approach here which we are following continuously from the years, and it is like we will cover the topic, and after completion of topic, initially in the first month I will be discussing PYQs with way of writing the answer, because that is initial time period. Is it? It's like hand holding approach. Initially we do not know how to write the answer of PubMed, so in the class only we are going to discuss that how to write the intro, how to write explanation, and thereafter how to conclude and do analysis. In this way, within the first month, approximately 15 to 20 questions we will be doing in the class. Is it? And it's like I have discussed the structure of the answer, then we'll give you 10 minutes to write, so that prompt learning will develop. And in the second month, I will reduce structuring of answer by myself. Will delegate that power to you, and then you will be submitting them in the form of an assignment. This way we will gradually develop our art of writing the answer, and at least once in a month we can have the test. So 5 tests will be part of the classroom program. Assignment, 2 to 3 assignments on a weekly basis. So 4 to 5 weeks we will keep on moving in this way, and thereafter we'll start delegating towards the candidates to write those PYQ based answers. This way we can cover it in a time bound manner with good answer writing practices, and by the time period our syllabus will get over, we might have written approximately 60-70 questions along with the classes. We might have also gone for the 5 tests, so within 5 tests also approximately 30-40 questions will also be covered. So after writing 100 questions, we develop the way of answer writing. That is the requirement of this entire competition. What are the chances of repeating question in this paper? Yes, there you will find not question but the topics are repeated. Instead of question, topics are repeated, and 60% of the topics got repeat, and probability 60% is very high. It is comparable with any another optional subject. So it's like governor's question. So maybe suppose this time they may have asked question on governor in the context of nominal head, and next year it could be a question on governor with respect to center-state relations. So dimensions may get changed. Governor will remain a topic for discussion in the exam. This way it is covered. Will PubMed vocabulary be easier for? Yes, PubMed vocabulary will be easier, because when we write the notes in the class, we write technical word, and in bracket we used to write the simple general English also to develop that vocabulary. Because initially it will take time to develop this administrative vocabulary. That's why I was discussing an example today that we use the word practical. In administration we call it pragmatic. So the moment you have written pragmatic in your notes and practical in bracket, your vocabulary will gradually develop in this way. How will online classes be conducted? Online will also be just like this, live classes, and only one request will be from my side. If you are writing assignment, please make a PDF to send for evaluation. Isn't it? Taking a picture and sending them without organizing and arranging them in a sequence, it takes a lot of efforts to evaluate. So in that context will be a condition that we are writing, we are attending online live classes, and during that time also we will be having all the access. Class recordings are also available for 3 days, and that way we can do. Yes, we see PubMed 99 students will start from scratch only out of 100. That is the thing. That's why competition is better. Competition is comparatively better than any another optional subject. So we all are on the same foot. Level playing field सबसे ज़्यादा हमारे optional में है. I'm already listening. Yes. I only answered your point. No, I am starting from the zero. How to prepare? That's what the point. We will attend the class, develop the foundation of our subjects, and gradually keep on practicing the answer writing. Because starting from the scratch will be like this only. I already told you the book list as well. So before you join the class, you can even have approximately 6 days, 7 days, and you can begin with that book, Prasad and Prasad, Administrative Thinkers, Prasad and Prasad. You can just start reading that book, so that if you join the classroom, by that time you will have at least 10 to 12 chapters by the self-reading. That's also a way to begin with, because classroom will always have a benefit in our preparation. Self-preparation take lot of efforts, because how evaluation will be done, how structuring of answers will be done, that will definitely affect our preparations. It takes time for the self-preparation. That's the concern. PubMed is unpredictable? No, it is not unpredictable. It is very regularized subject, and as I'm telling you, 60% of the topics get repeated. So 60% will make it predictable only, na? 10% repeat hota, so you can say that it is unpredictable. But if 60% of the questions or the topics are getting repeated, then it is in the category of a predictable subject and will be safe enough. What time span online courses student will get the access to recorded classes for revision? Yeah, usually till 1 month after the completion of syllabus. Up to 1 month after completion of syllabus, the recording of any optional subject is available, not just for PubMed, but that is a institution policy. For 1 month after completion of the batch, the recordings will be available. In case you have missed the classes, you can generate individual request. The class will be starting from 20th of April, and the timing will be from 11 to 1:30. And institution have a policy, and policy is what? Suppose I am not sure about the subject, and I'm confused between, let's say, PubMed or Socio, PubMed or Political Science, PubMed or Anthro, and I wanted to study from Vajiram only. I can take admission by making my payment of the fee, and up to 1 week you can attend those pub-ed classes. If after 1 week you realize pub-ed is not my cup of tea and wanted to go to some other subjects, institution will allow you to shift. That's a concern. So it's no extra money, no money will be deducted for that 1 week's classes, because that's how the transparency can also come. And if we don't like the subject in 1 week, we can simply switch over to another part. That is also up to us, because in that case I am having no interest in learning this subject. So in that condition, that is available as a choice for all the candidates who wanted to study with Vajiram and Ravi. That is institution's policy, and it's a very transparent in that scenario. In fact, you don't want to even shift your optional and wanted to withdraw, even that is also available, that up to 1 week. But the only condition is first you have to get the admission, then only those classes access will be provided. Want to withdraw from any optional in that condition, that will be made available. Will I be able to rewatch the recorded class? Yes, not any number of time, it is available only for 3 days after the completion. Confusion between socio and pub-ed, I already told you. Socio, you just after this discussion will get over, it will be available in the recording. You can re-watch that part again, but that is the benefit of recorded lecture these days, that it is available on the recorded platform. But socio is also a very good optional, as well as pub-ed. Means not better than pub-ed. ऐसा ही बोलूँगा because I have to teach pub-ed only ना. How can I say that socio is better than pub-ed? Pub-ed is better than any another optional from my eyes. Sure, fine. Any another question which is left? एक बार question check कर लेते हैं, छूटा ना हो कोई query, so that we can conclude also. From the classroom also, if any question is coming in the mind, you are free to clarify. Any contact number, means after joining only the contact numbers are generally available, not before joining, otherwise I will be messaging only all the queries only, and then how will I take my class? All these are incorporated. ये हो गए हैं ये वाले questions. I have recently joined our course from the 20th April. Okay, you already have joined. Dicey making pattern. No problem. We will start in the class only. The moment we'll start our discussion, we will go first by paper 1. After completion of paper 1, we will switch over to paper 2, so that understanding will not get suffer. And those units or topics which are common in paper 1 as well as paper 2, we will do them at one place in a holistic manner, so that if a question is asked in pub-ed paper 1 or pub-ed paper 2, we have enough understanding and enough content to write those answers in the best possible manner. Is it? Yes, please.
What should be the strategy for current affairs? Will it be covered in class or should we
See, current affairs as a concept, if it is related to union government, state government, will be discussed along with the topic. So that its relevance will remain there. Otherwise, every day it will become a topic discussion out of the context. Let's say a new scheme has came, but we are talking about Taylor, not relevant. So along with the topic, we will incorporate the current issues and the current policies. Not just that, even their implementation strategy, because these days policies are made by central government, and then they ask the states to join MOU and implement it with the help of local self-government. So that logic is to be covered in a good way with local self-government and the state government. So that implementation strategy, part of paper 2, what are the goals and objectives can be useful from current affairs point of view, and this way you develop the administrative mindset, or the point which I was raising earlier, that was administrative aptitude and ethics. That's why we have lot of practical application based discussion in our classroom, and that will help us in case studies also. Is it? This is the reason why this point was mainly highlighted for making a selection of optional. Fine. Any further queries? We are free to discuss. Otherwise, we can even bring an end towards our today's discussion regarding public administration as your path towards policy maker. I wish you all the best to make an informed decision about the choice of optional. We just made every possible honest attempt to hold a discussion without derogating any of the optionals, because that's not a right approach. I can tell what is good with us. I can compare with any optional subject. Every optional has its own relevance, but how ours can be better than them or where we may be missing, we must be well aware, and that is called informed decision making. And that was the main objective of today's discussion. Our only biggest you can say rivalry or competitor optional is PSIR, and only reason is what? It has emerged out of PSIR. That's why they have lot of overlapping. Otherwise, every optional has its own relevance. Paper 1 and paper 2 are going to be taught by same professor. Yes, I will be. I'm telling you, 90% syllabus I have to cover. So it will be taken by me only 90% of syllabus, and 10% will be taken by the Amit sir. He's engaged with other optional as well, but he will be taking with the puppet 10% of the optional syllabus, and remaining balance subject I will be covering. So I'll take the technically major part of the puppet syllabus, and the way we have discussed today, that is the same approach we will follow for optional. This is how we have even studied in our GS polity as well. Same structure, same approach, no change. Conceptual understanding, note writing, and assignment discussions. That's more than enough to even prepare, and that's why by this optional we can have a time bound selection. That is all. Thank you so much for your patience, for listening and focusing in the interaction. Even online also, thank you for writing the answers in between when I requested you to type R or S. Yes, I'll dictate the notes also. After explanation of a topic in the class, I always used to dictate those notes. The note making only is a one-stop solution for this entire syllabus. Yes, that is all. Thank you.